devices should be connected on our operating system. So that technical word is called as mounting. So if I connect USB or pen drive on my computer, so that pen drive should be mounted on our operating system. If that pen drive is not mounted, we cannot access files or whatever data is present within that pen drive. The same way we have lib. Remember, sometimes in Windows we face problem while playing .mkv type of a file or some different video files. So what we need to do, basically, Windows Media Player does not support all the media files or all the video file formats. And if we want to play any video which has extension like .mkv, then we need to install VLC Media Player. So what we mean by that, whenever we install some new softwares or new applications on our operating system, so those applications or softwares updates our operating system library. For example, right now, if you are watching this particular lecture, that means I'm explaining something to you, and by watching this particular lecture, you are also enhancing your library. So if next time I say root directory, so you can easily understand what we mean by root directory. How you understood this? Why? Because basically your library, your mind's library is updated. The same way, for very first time when we showed .mkv type of a file or .wmv type of a file to our Windows operating system. So that time Windows operating system is not be able to recognize or not be able to access that particular type of a file. Why? Because it was not aware about those type of a file. Then how to make our operating system aware, or how to basically teach our operating system how to read different types of a file by installing different application softwares in our operating system. So whenever we install VLC Media Player in our operating system, so VLC Media Player enhanced our operating system's library. Basically, VLC Player, for very simple example, VLC Player is basically teaching our operating system how to read .wmb type of a file or .mkv type of a file. So next time if this type of file comes, our operating system can easily understand it. And how our operating system can easily understand it? Why? Because those type of file and reference documents for those type of a file are already present in our operating system's library. I hope this particular point is clear. So this is what we mean by directory structure. This particular question is very important with respect to our theory exam as well as practical as well. Remember, most of time this particular question comes in our main practical exam. Now after lib, the last directory which we need to remember is boot directory. As you can see, boot. What we mean by boot? Boot means from starting of our computer. That is what we mean by boot. And we are going to talk about in detail in our future theory lecture about a boot sequence, or what we mean by how our Linux operating system boots itself. So for now, just remember it's a boot directory which basically helps to boot our system. So whatever files are required to boot our computer or boot our operating system, those all files are present under this boot directory. Now, so I hope this particular directory structure is clear to each and every one of you. Now let's discuss the next part. As you can see in here, we are going to discuss about different types of files. Now remember, when we talk about Linux consider everything as a file, whether we talk about simple document or whether we talk about this type of devices. So if I connect keyboard, mouse, printer, so for every external device, Linux creates or Linux holds one file for that, and that file is responsible for a better interaction with those particular devices. So everything, whatever devices we connect with our operating system, Linux operating system, for all those devices, one file is generated under Linux. I hope this particular point is clear. Now, as you can see, we have different types of file. One is called as general file. What we mean by general file, as you can see here, we have YouTube file, MP3 file, or some data files. So those are called as general files. So as you can see here, this general files are also called as ordinary files. which contains images, video, programs, or simple text. The same way, these are in two formats, either in ASCII format or binary format. As we know what we mean by ASCII format, whatever our keyboard basically uses this particular language. I hope you already know about this. So I'm not going in detail. Let's continue. Then we have directory files. Now what we mean by directory files, as you can see, directory is a warehouse for other files. Warehouse means a godown. Under one directory we can store multiple different files or multiple different subdirectories. So as you can see, suppose this is our one directory. Under this directory we can store many different things, many different files, many different informations here. So you can imagine directory like a godown only, and under this godown we can store different commodities or different materials here. I hope this particular part is clear. Then next we have directory files. So we are going to discuss something about directory files. As we already know, directory file contains root directory, and under that we have different subdirectories. So this type of folder found in Windows operating system, as you can see, and in Linux we call it directories. Now let's talk about some other differences between Windows and Linux. So as you can see, in Windows we have this type of partitions, that is C drive, D drive, E drive. For CD we have this type of icons present, and in C drive we have one of the most important directory, that is called as program file, which contains all the important files with respect to our operating system. In Linux we have something that is called as bin directory. Let's see. As you can see, in computer, in file system, we have one of the most important directory, that is called as bin directory. I hope this particular point is clear. So in Windows, under C drive we have program files. In Linux, under this home directory, in computer directory we have bin directory, or under root directory we have one of the most important directory, that is called as bin directory. Now another difference, in Windows, as you can see, for DVD drive we have such type of icons, and in Linux we have this type of directory, that is CD-ROM. The same way, let's discuss other things. As you can see here, in Linux we have, if we connect pen drive to our operating system, then we have this type of things. As you can see, we have removable disk and icon with this particular part, but in Linux we have everything maintained in the one directory, that is called as media. Now remember, this particular screenshot is from Ubuntu, and now I'll show you in Reddit as well. As you can see here, as you can see, we have under root directory we have one directory, that is media. I hope this particular point is clear. Now next difference, as you can see, we have program files here, and Linux we have bin directory. Here we have bin directory. I hope this particular point is clear. Now next difference, let's talk about device files. So as you can see, in Windows we have different icons present for different devices, like for printer, fax, and other things. And in Linux we have this DEV directory only. Under this we have different files which is created for each and every external or input output device which we connect. So as you can see here, we have DEV directory. So whatever input and output device connected to our system, everything or every detail about those devices, that is DEV directory. I hope this particular point is clear. Now let's discuss other things. So as you can see, this is how it looks like. In Windows operating system we have C drive. Under that we have different folders, but in Linux we have this type of partitions. I'll show you in future practical lectures how to access this particular partition. For now, just remember, under that we have different partitions. This is how partition name looks like. Then we have different types of users. One user is called as regular user. Now in Ubuntu, this is how we basically, this is a screenshot how to create a user. And in Linux, I'll show you. And remember, whenever we create a user, users home directory, or that user's database is automatically created under home directory. So let's see practically how to create a user. So as you can see, I'll show you with the help of GUI as well and with the help of command as well. So we have to go to system, under that administration and user and groups. As you can see, one user which we have created while installing our operating system, so that user is already present. Now next we are going to create a new user. As you can see, by clicking on add user, we can create a new user. The same way, by clicking on add group, we can create a group, and under that group we can add multiple users. So here just provide a username. So I'm creating it for YouTube, so I'll give it YouTube. Then you can write some full name for the same. Then we need to write password for this, so I'll just write it down, some password 1234, and confirm password again the same, and then just click on OK. And now remember, whenever we are creating a user, now if this user logs in into his account and whenever he creates some new files, then those files is by default stored at this particular location. Under root directory we have home directory, and under home directory this particular Linux operating system is going to create one directory with the name of our user only. So our username is YouTube. The same name, one directory with the same name is created under home directory by default. We can change this particular location as well. By default it is created under root directory only, remember. So just click on OK. It's showing password is too short. We have to minimum give our password is 6 characters. So I'll give 123456, again 123456, and click on OK. So it's just showing me, as you can see, if I press OK now. So I already told you about home directory, where user's home directory is created. Now click on OK. So it's just showing that your password is very simplistic and it's very simple. So as you can see, our user is created. So our username is YouTube, and this is our user ID, that is 501, and its location. Let's just see whether that user is created or not. We'll go to home. Sorry, not here. We need to go to computer. As you can see, under root directory, if we click on computer, root directory structure starts. Under that we have one directory that is named as home directory, and under home directory one directory is created for our user which we have created right now. So this is the steps how to create a user with the help of GUI, simple GUI, without writing any command. Now it is very important for us to also know how to create a user using a command. So we'll now see how to create a user using command. So first we need to go to terminal. So as you can see, now under this terminal, if we want to add a user, we just need to write a simple command, that is user add. Remember, this is the most simple command, and then just give the name for that particular user. So as you can see, while we used GUI, we need to follow 4 to 5 steps to create a user, and here just by writing one command we can simply create a user. So as you can see, our user with the name testing is created. Let's see, the directory for this user must be created under home directory. So let's just see it. Go to root directory. Under root directory we have to go to home directory, and here as you can see, our one directory for testing, a username with testing. For that user, one root directory, one home directory is already created. Now remember, this directory is called as database. This is the database of our user. So whatever activity performed by our user after logging into his or her account, everything, whatever file or software user installs on his account or on in that particular user's account, whatever activities performed, all things is maintained under this particular directory only. I hope this particular point is clear. Now let's discuss about other things. So as you can see, in user in Linux we have one type of a user is regular user. I hope this particular point is clear. Now next user is called as root user. Remember, root user is the super user. Like in Linux we have administrator or admin user. The same way in Linux we have root user. In Windows we have admin. In Linux we have root user. So this root user can access restricted files as well. He can install software, as well as he has all the administrative level permissions. I hope this particular point is clear. So let's just see what we mean by root user. So if we talk about Linux, so as you can see here, if you are logged in with a root user, here it's showing root, and then in terminal, as you can see here, in terminal, if there is a hash sign, as you can see, it's a hash sign on terminal. That means by default we are logged in with root user. And if this hash sign is missing, that means we are normal user. So let's see this, how to do that. So as you can see, we have added one user with the name testing. So I'll just try to log in into this particular user, that is testing. So SU stands for, SU is the command to switch user. So instead of root user, if I want to log in into some another user, then we use SU command. So suppose now I want to log in into testing user. So I'll just write SU switch user space that user's name, that is testing. So as you can see, before I was in a root user and now I'm in a testing user. So this was before I logged in into testing. And here, as you can see, if we are a normal user, then on terminal you will find a dollar icon, and if we are a root user, then you will find this particular hash icon. Now if again we want to switch or go back to root user, then we need to write a command that is named as SU. Remember, SU, just type SU, nothing else. So SU stands for switch user. If we don't write any username after SU, then by default system understands that user wants to log in into root account only. So remember, here it asks us for password. So we will just add a password. Now remember, I have added a password. And Linux, whenever we type a password, pointer does not move from its location, remember, so that one cannot easily guess your password's length as well. And that is the only reason, for security reason, whenever we are typing a password in Linux, pointer does not move. So I hope this particular point is clear. So this is how root user looks like, and if we are in a root user, we can perform any task. Then next is service user. Remember, third type of a user in Linux is service user. Now we can perform, or this particular user is basically there through which we can provide different services. For example, Squid, this is a proxy server. What do we mean by proxy server? If I want to block or unblock some websites, restrict some websites it should not be accessed by our users, that time we can configure proxy server. And if I want to hide my IP address as well, that time also we basically configure proxy server only. So for now, just remember, service user basically provides different services like proxy server. Then we have Apache server, which basically helps to send client requests to server, and vice versa. Whenever servers generate some result, that time it gives that result back to user. So these are very basic things which we are going to discuss this particular thing in our future practical. Remember, we have one practical in Linux where we are going to configure proxy server, as well as we are also going to configure this Apache server. So remember, if we use service user, it basically helps us to enhance our security or security of our computer. I hope this particular point is clear. Now remember, it is a note for each and every one of you. In normal desktop based operating system like we are using Red Hat 6, it's just a simple desktop or a single user operating system like we use on our computer. Those type of operating system does not have option for service user. If we are working on server based version of operating system, then those server based version only got options of some users that is named as service user. Remember, in normal operating system, in desktop based versions of operating system, we have only two types of user. One is regular user, second is root user. But if we are working with server based operating system, like in Windows, we have Windows Server 2010, 2012, 2015, then in that particular type of server version operating system, you will find three types of user: regular, root user, and third is service user. So in Linux based server versions as well, we'll find three types of user. Now when we talk about file name conventions, so in in Windows, as you can see, in one folder we can create one file only. So suppose I have created one Word document, and that document's name is file. Same way, if I create another Word document with a same file name, that is file only, then or suppose if I've created one Word document, and this Word document name is ABC in small letters, and if again I try to create another Word document where I'll give this particular file capital ABC as a name, then Windows won't allow us to create same type of a name under one folder. But in Linux we can create it. How? Let's see. I'll show you with the help of example, and that is what we mean by capitalization. Let's see with the help of example, you will get a brief idea. So as you can see, to create a directory, first to create a file, we'll create a directory. Now to create a directory, we are going to use one command, that is mkdir. Mkdir stands for make directory or create folder in Windows, what we say. So here I'll create a directory with the name YouTube Prex. Now as you can see, that particular directory is created. How we come to know? If your pointer directly comes on next line without any error, that means your directory is created. It is as simple as that. Now we'll go to this particular directory. So how to go to this particular directory? With the help of cd. Cd is a command. Cd stands for change directory. So I'll just go to this particular directory. So cd space YouTube Prex. As you can see, now I'm in YouTube Prex directory. Now what we are going to do, we'll create files. Now we have different commands to create a file. One command which we are going to use is cat command. So cat stands for concatenation. Remember, cat is a command. If I write cat and then greater than sign, and then we just need to write any particular file name. Now what is the advantage of using a cat command? Using this particular command, we can create one file, and within that file we can create data from terminal itself. What we mean by terminal, like we have command prompt in Windows, the same way we have terminal in Linux. So from terminal we can directly add files within this particular we can add data within this particular file. So as you can see, this is our first file in Linux. So I have added data from terminal only, remember. And then if I want to save this particular file, then we need to press one command. Remember, Control plus D. Control plus D. D for Delhi. Okay, we need to press these two things. Then only data, which data we have written, that data will be stored within t1.txt file. Remember, I'll press Control plus D. As you can see, as soon as I press Control plus D, my pointer again comes on terminal. Now, if I want to see whether that particular L1 t1.txt file is created or not, then we need to use a command, that is ls. Ls stands for list. So as you can see, our file is created under this. Now let's see another one. Now we'll create one more file here, cat greater than sign, write a command. Now see here, I'm creating one file where I have given a name t1, that is small t, and again I'm creating one more file where I'll give it a name like capital T, so t1.txt. Here as you can see, I've not got any particular type of error. So in Linux, if we are creating multiple files with same name, but here we have name where we used small t, and here we have name where we use capital T. So that is allowed in Linux. Remember, it is not allowed in Windows. So this is our second file with T1, that is capital T. Now to save file, what we are going to do, we need to press Control plus D. Remember, Control plus D means save and exit. So this particular command is going to add our data in which file? capital T1.txt. So I'll just press Ctrl plus D. As you can see, I'm again on terminal. I'll just check whether that file is created or not. What is the command to check it? ls command. So ls, as you can see, we have created two files here. So we have two files with the similar name. The only difference is capital T and small t. So this particular thing is allowed in Linux, and that is what we mean by capitalization. Remember, this thing is not allowed in Windows. So this is again one of the main difference. Then in Linux we have two basically space or two types. One is kernel space, second is user space. As you can see, user is a very normal thing, and kernel is loaded with so many materials or so many things. As you can see, kernel space is strictly reserved for running the kernel. Kernel means heart of operating system, or it is one of the most important aspect in our Linux operating system, which is responsible to perform most of the things in our computer or in our operating system. Kernel extension and most device drivers. In contrast, user space is memory area where all user mode application works, and this memory can be swapped out when necessary. And similarly, user land refers to all application software. So whenever we are running any particular applications, those particular applications are basically runs at user space. Kernel, whenever we perform any particular operation in our operating system, without kernel permission, those operating systems are not at all possible. Kernel is heart of operating system. If kernel is not there, our operating system will be failed one. We cannot perform any single operation without the permission of kernel. If kernel permits any operation, suppose we have created directory here, so if kernel does not allows us to create a directory, then we cannot create a directory. Remember, it is one of the most important part. It is, in simple word, we call it heart of operating system. And here we have user space. Some each and every basic operation, whatever we can perform on our operating system, all things are available under user space. You can just read it out. These are very simple things. Now let's continue our discussion. So as you can see, I hope this particular point is clear. Now I'll show you some of the more different commands as well. Now, if we want to clear out all these things, then we use clear. Clear means to clear a screen. So just write clear and press enter. As you can see, all commands are gone upside. Remember, they are not deleted. They just gone up. You can just scroll down up from here. You can just scroll up from here and you can just see those commands as well. So clear, just to clear the screen. Let's see the other commands. We'll just see other commands. One is PWD. Remember, PWD stands for present working directory. So it just gives you your current location. So YouTube _ prex, this particular directory, it gives us the location for this particular directory. As you can see, YouTube _ prex is directory under which root under / we have root directory, and under root directory we have another directory that is named as YouTube prex. So it gives us our current location under which directory we are working right now. Present working directory, PWD. It gives us our current location. I hope this particular point is clear. Now let's discuss about other commands. I hope this is clear. Now let's discuss about other commands. So other commands which we are going to use is man command. So suppose if we are not clear about mkdir command, what we mean by mkdir, then if you want some extra information about mkdir, then we can use this particular part or this particular command, that is man command. So as you can see, man mkdir, with the help of this command, it gives us, remember, operating system gives us one manual where each and every detail about this particular directory or this particular command, each and every information about this particular mkdir command is present here. So here you'll find description as well for this. As you can see, what is mkdir command? Create the directory. If they do not already exist, it creates a new directory. And mandatory arguments we can also add. There are different modes as well, or different options as well of creating a directory. We'll look at all these options in our future lecture. For now, just remember. And now if we want to close this help document or this manual, then we just need to press Q. Remember, just press Q to quit manual. So I'll just press Q. So as soon as we press Q, as you can see, again we are on our terminal or on a command prompt. Let's see another man command. I'll just type man and I'll use ls command. I hope remember ls stands for list. It basically lists all the files and subdirectories present within any one directory. So ls command, as you can see, ls command is used to list directory content, list information about files, the current directories. By default, current directories, under that current directory, which files and folders or directories, subdirectories are present under that. It basically gives information about that. I hope this particular point is clear. So I'll just quit this particular manual. How? By pressing a Q. So just press Q. So again we are on a terminal. I hope man command is clear. Man stands for manual command. So whatever commands information you want in Linux, you can just type man command and you can check information about that particular command. I hope this particular point is clear. We'll use cd command. Now if I want to come out of any particular directory, then we use cd command. Cd space dot dot. Remember, cd space dot dot. Just type two dot after cd and you will be out of one directory. As you can see, before I was in a YouTube directory and now I'm again back to our previous directory. I hope this particular command is clear. cd stands for change directory. Now vi editor, this is one of the most important part. We are going to start discuss this particular part in our next lecture. I hope whatever we discussed till now is clear to you. If you have any doubt or query, please feel free to write in a comment section, or you can also write it on my email ID, that is